Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking all about Goldberg joining TNA as the rumor of the day. I know that it's not 2000 anymore. It's not 2002. It's not the closing of WCW. Hell, it's not even 2010 anymore. When the last time that we had rumors about Goldberg joining a wrestling company, there was thoughts of bringing Goldberg in as a replacement because they were thinking of doing a WCW themed WrestleMania 27 with WrestleMania heading to the land of the South, the land of WCW. They were going to make a big deal out of Undertaker versus Sting, but Sting ended up staying with TNA, and, basically they thought, hey, as a fallback plan, why don't we bring in Goldberg? He was a real big deal to WCW. He was a real big deal to Atlanta as a guy that went to the University of Georgia, and you think of the big WCW shows. Goldberg was a big part of those Georgia Dome shows, being where it was Goldberg versus Hogan. He was even a part of the finger poke of doom with the whole big deal about Goldberg being taken to the police because of the fact that Elizabeth basically was saying that Goldberg raped her, but because of standards and practices in WCW and things like that, they really phrased it to the point of like, Goldberg was looking at me, and the cops were like, well, we gotta take him to jail because it's against the law. And it was stupid. They built up the Hogan versus Nash deal, and then Goldberg came running down, and then the NWO, who was in two factions at the time, came together to join to make the Super NWO, which ended up being Hogan basically jumping to the NWO Wolfpack, and then the black and white team being left as the NWO Jobbers, pretty much, and that's basically the way it was. Goldberg did an interview where he claims that he has not received an offer from WWE, but he says, just name dropping, TNA contacted him a few days ago. And, he says that he's not going to lose any sleep over WWE not calling them. He puts over the fact that Vince and Triple H don't really like him. He feels that he can make a big difference in the wrestling game. I don't know if he's talking about the fact that Seth Rollins is injured and they really need a star, or if he thinks he's a guy who can come in and just make a big boost to WrestleMania. Honestly, I will tell you that there are Goldberg fans. I've never been a big fan of Goldberg coming back to WWE. He left at WrestleMania 20. That was 11 years ago. If he was to come back for WrestleMania 32, that's 12 years he's been out of the wrestling business. I talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's one of the factors that I don't think that he needs to come back, because he's been out of the ring for so long. Goldberg has said that he wants to come back and he wants to wrestle one more time. He wants to wrestle so his son can see basically what made him famous and what he was good at. I don't think that if Goldberg came back, he really has a lot to offer WWE anymore. I understand if you wanted to bring him back for WrestleMania 27, that's a big deal. But Goldberg, to me, honestly, when you look at the quote that he talks about here, he says that TNA called him to bring him in because of the fact that Bram, a TNA wrestler, is in the movie, and they could play up Bram versus Goldberg. And he basically says, thank you for calling and trying to help the movie out. It's one thing to call me to try and get promotion for the movie, and that's all good. But he even says in the third person talking about himself, but getting a guy like Goldberg in your wrestling organization is a completely different story. It doesn't really feel, when you read this story, that Goldberg's trying to play TNA off on WWE, basically trying to get WWE to make that phone call, thinking that he might be going to TNA. For the way that Goldberg acted when he was in the wrestling business for WWE, and basically trying to tell Vince and Triple H that he wasn't going to do things, and that's something that's never really flown in WWE. There's been some guys that have been able to do that, and some guys, basically just get shown the door. Goldberg came in, he did his 1 year run, in 2000, what year is that, 2003 maybe, somewhere around there, and, WrestleMania 20 came, and he was gone, and I think he liked it, I think they liked it. They were able to make that Goldberg DVD that came out a few years ago. It sold really well. If I'm Goldberg, I'm just trying to be nice. They're probably never going to call you to put you in a wrestling match ever again, but more than likely someday they're going to need somebody for that Hall of Fame, and you're a big enough name, and you really carried WCW through those dying days. that they sort of need you. And if you're like Scott Steiner, and you keep running your mouth about how bad they are and how they're not doing anything right, that phone call is not going to come. And I know that it's a good thing for you to go in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'm sure that you'll get a payday. I'm sure that it'll help your autograph signings and things like that. Maybe you can get $10 more an autograph or $10 more a picture or something like that. But as long as you're saying negative things about the company, that phone call from Triple H or from Vince or from whoever you think it's coming from isn't going to be coming.